Welcome everybody to the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card. So today we're doing a version of the main character energy topic. So I think I did do a kind of general main character energy topic really early in my channel. So if you want to look at that, because it's probably a little bit more 3D related, you can always search through the channel because I'm pretty sure I did one. But certainly there are quite a number of these done. It's a topic that people are interested in, what their main character energy is in their life. And what I wanted to do was ramp it up a level and make it what is your soul's main character energy. So this is sort of like the longer arc of your existence, potentially across lives, but certainly in this life, the key sort of soul mission you have, the main character, hero quest, whatever that might be, and how that connects to your main character energy in a way in your more day-to-day life, and how others in your field, sidekicks, adversaries, sort of antagonists, whatever it might be, all serve to bring that about. So that's what this is about. So it's going to have pretty strong spiritual focus around the sort of core energy of your spirit and how that plays out. But it will touch upon sort of more day-to-day stuff as well too, when spirit thinks that's important. So as always, the important thing is to pick your reading or readings. Go to more than one if you want. It might be an amalgam of a couple of these. What I did to start with is we're going to start with a snapshot in the sense of what is your soul's main character, using a number of decks that will help with that as a setting the scene before we move into tarot. And two of the decks I'm using are the Goddesses and Sirens and the Gods and Titans deck, because I feel like that picks a kind of very strong archetypal energy around it, both from the divine masculine and the divine feminine in balance. So in terms of how to choose, I rolled a dice and I said to Spirit, if the key energy to help somebody be guided to this is a goddess and a siren, then let it be a positive number, an even number. And then if the key energy is to go to the gods and titans, let it be a negative number, sort of like an uneven number. So not positive and negative and good or bad, but just in that sort of sense. And so for pile number one, we got a positive or an even number, and so therefore I shuffled and intuitively drew out Helen of Troy. So there's something about that sort of sense of beauty, the power of beauty in one form or another, physical or otherwise. The beauty of the soul is obviously something to do with the main character energy for pile number one. For pile number two, we got an uneven number, so I drew from the Gods and Titans. We get Shiva, talked about here as the destroyer, and Shiva certainly is that, but it's also the god that dances into life. So there's a very strong sense of beginnings and endings, karma, all of that kind of stuff around this, and the new ideas and the breaking down of the old to bring in the new. The third time, I also got an uneven number, so I drew from the Gods and Titans and got Prometheus, which is the god that brought fire to mankind and sacrificed himself. So there's sort of something here that is a cause above oneself and a cause to help others in some very profound way, very altruistic way. So if you feel drawn to one of those, that will help you. If you usually go to a particular number, that's fine. Whatever works for you. If it's the imagery, if you need to pause the video and contemplate before moving on, that's fine too. But when you know what reading or readings you want to go to, I have the timestamps in the description box below, and I'll see you there. Welcome, pile one, to your reading. I can tell instantly when I turn these cards over, I'm going to like you guys. There's a very beautiful energy in this reading right from the start. And so I think the beauty, for some of you, it may very well be that your soul has a kind of inner sort of symmetry and beauty that is actually replicated in your physical form. I've read alchemists talking about sort of symmetry and beauty within the body is sometimes an expression of that. But I'm kind of on the fence about that idea, because I've known plenty of people who are not within the culture conventionally beautiful, but incredibly beautiful souls. So take or leave that. But your soul's main character may manifest in physical beauty, but certainly in beauty of soul. When we have here St. Anthony, who worked with St. Francis of Assisi, who I've often said, so it will not be news to anybody who knows this channel, St. Francis of Assisi is my favourite saint. Like, I just adore that story. And St. Anthony worked with St. Francis. And this is all about helping those that are less fortunate, kind of giving up on the material equals status sort of idea, and something that's much more about being humane and being connected and being caring, and in this sense reclaiming that. And there is an interesting energy here, because I think that we're getting a little bit here with your soul story as well as your soul already as a main character, and what you're moving into and what this life is about. And then another part about the structure of this reading is that with the Astro Kabbalah deck, I literally shuffled and then dealt out till I got 6 of the Sephiroth, and then I shuffled them again, so I wouldn't know which was going to be together, because part of my theory about this in your soul's main character energy is that you probably have a natural resonance. Your soul will have a natural resonance to certain of the Sephiroth in the Kabbalah. And for those who are not familiar with the Kabbalah, it's a tree of life, it's Judaic mysticism, it's also used in high magic, there are tarot correspondences. To me, it's like a sort of a framework of the divine's personality and the aspects of it that then are reflected as above, so below within us in terms of our personality. So it says something about who you are your soul is on a very fundamental level. So for you, as I say, with St. Anthony here, there is a sort of sense of selflessness, and that's also connected to Mithras. So Mithras talks about sacrifice. Mithras was a god of an ancient religion that some say is replicated in its story in, Jesus Christ. It's a very similar sort of story about a god, I think, made into man, but certainly a god that sacrifices himself for the good of the community. So I think there's something about you that has to do with that. For some of you, with Helen of Troy, who was very powerful because of her beauty and very much sort of in the royal court because of her beauty, there may be something in your soul's main character energy, which is about coming from privilege, potentially. You don't have to, but this will be for some of you. Coming from privilege, power, connections, having certain advantages, which may be, as I say, looks, it could be, financially, whatever it is, and then deciding that that is not the way. That is not what is going to take your main character energy forward. You're actually going to give that up to reclaim your spiritual self. So for some of you, either in past lives or in this life, one of the real challenges in your main character energy for your soul is recognizing what really is valuable to you rather than the trappings of a life. For others, it could very literally be that you are here to make a fairly significant sacrifice for others, to bring things back into balance and beauty in some way. Now, this doesn't have to be as dramatic as the sacrifice of Mithras or Christ, but it could be that that is part of your main character energy, that you will reach a point where reclaiming your soul from whatever the thing is that you're trying to do to help others does call upon you to do a sacrifice, and you're ready to do it. Now, that makes it very interesting what you're coming from here. So this is, you're very well balanced in the Kabbalah, because you have one Sephiroth from what they call the pillar of severity, which is the female side, and that's not saying women are lesser. It's saying that women, connect more empathically and all that sort of thing. And so there is you kind of almost through adversity, we actually learn to be empathic and compassionate and so forth. And then there's one from the pillar of mercy, which is the more detached divine masculine side of the Kabbalah. But there's a very similar energy between these, and very similar to this. So Binah is the divine feminine, is the mother, part of the supernal triangle. It is the connection of wisdom that comes in Chokmah, the divine masculine version of this in the Kabbalah, and Keter, the divine essence, into a compassionate and wise sort of like understanding, as it says here. So this is an energy, the divine feminine. It is very beautiful. It is understanding and compassionate. So there's a great deal of compassion around all of this. And then Hesed is about mercy. So it's in the pillar of mercy, and it is actually about kindness. It's about the kindness to ourselves and to others. So there's something deeply kind in you. As I say, kindness to me is the greatest virtue of all. And so I really like people who are kind, and I think you are kind. I think you are kind but it's hard won, It's through sacrifices that you've made either in this life or in other lives. It's through feeling adversity. It's through sometimes having a kind of almost equivocal relationship in a way with whatever might be advantages or beautiful to you, where there is sacrifice and almost war, because there was war around Helen of Troy. connected to that divine feminine thing, but on the other level, there was this beautiful compassion and understanding. So your main character energy is kind, compassionate, wise with a very liberal dose of sort of empathy. And as a result, I think your main character energy has to come into this paradigm, no matter what it is that you've come in with. It does suggest some advantages on some level, but it also suggests that you're going to balance that in this life and do a great deal to raise the heart, I would say, of the people around you. And that in itself, with this dynamic, it'll be interesting when we get to the different people around you, because it'll be very interesting to see the adversaries for you, because there is a very hard energy in the 3D world that would not want to accept this energy, because it sort of like shows them up. So it'll be very interesting to see what we see there. But firstly, let's use the tarot and let's ask firstly a little bit more about your primary main character soul energy. So a little bit more detail on this. Then we're going to have a look at how it's manifesting at the moment in the 3D. Then we're going to see what part of this main character energy is really next set to emerge into the 3D. Because a bit of a theory of this is that this is your long-term energy, and your 3D energy at the moment will have bits of it, like splinters or shards of glass of the whole mirror, so to speak, and then more will emerge as your life goes on. So firstly, a little bit more about your soul's main character energy. 3 of Cups, Ace of Pentacles, 7 of Cups reversed, 5 of Swords, the Empress reversed. Okay, so there's a few things that jump out to me here. One is that the 7 of Cups reversed and the 5 of Swords is this sacrifice energy. At some point in this life, I think, and maybe as a part of the patterning of your lives, you know, as your soul brings this beautiful energy through, there's almost been a realization that all the sort of beautiful things of life, some of them have to be walked away from. So I think this is a pattern that happens in your lives. It's like a realization. It's a very St. Francis of Assisi type of feeling, actually. So there is something there. You understand at some point, you have a very pragmatic understanding that while you maybe have access to so many wonderful things, you actually can't keep them all. The other energy that feels a bit like, I guess, I don't know a lot about his life, to be honest, because I haven't followed the religion, but like Buddha. It feels a bit like Buddha as well. It kind of, you could be born to privilege or something, but like that is not the road to enlightenment, and you have a realization. And I think each time, each life, it kind of builds. You get more and more and more like this. You have an innate kindness and an innate sense of celebration. Even when to do the new things and follow your path and to really manifest in this world, this beautiful energy, you sometimes have to walk away from what is easy, and you have to walk away from what is nurturing to you. So I feel it feels a little bit isolating. It feels like you come in with this beautiful energy and this beautiful divine feminine, but it's almost as though you have to move more towards Hesed and more away from Binah with the Empress reverse. It's like there's something complex in your life, I think, that makes it impossible to just sit in this sort of like beauty. There is something that drives you to do that. And for some of you, I feel you've had difficult relationships either with your mother or with other women. Like with Helen of Troy, some of you may have got a lot of jealousy from other women. But regardless of that, you know what you need to leave behind to bring in what you're meant to bring in. So you've got a very clear idea about this, and it doesn't affect your caring, which is lovely. So let's have a look at how this is manifesting, how this soul main character energy is manifesting, like your 3D, your day-to-day main character energy at the moment. 8 of Wands, 6 of Swords reversed, 10 of Pentacles, King of Swords reversed, Wheel of Fortune. Okay. I do think that many of you, well, it could be one of two things. You've either actually not been born into privilege, and what this is to bring you towards, that's 2 of Pentacles, not 10 of Pentacles, sorry. It's bringing you towards a decision about sacrificing that as being important, really, and making a choice to go towards what it is you're really trying to bring in. Or you have come into you have come into privilege, but you need to make a choice because something about it isn't right. With the King of Swords reverse, there's something, you're either, as I say, you could have been born into wealth or into power or something like that, and it's like, you know what, this is corrupt. That's a possibility. Or it could be that there are people around, so I'm saying the adversary will be interesting here, that are not being honest. And for you to make the right choice for your fortune, you need to recognize this. You need to move away. It could even be from a romantic or a friendship relationship, which you are realizing at this point is not what it appeared to be. So there's something where something has to be brought to the surface to be seen, so this can be worked through. And you know that you need to move quickly, but you're not sure of your direction. This is saying you really just need to make the choice that recommits to what your soul wants to do. The rest will look after itself, because this is almost by comparison or contrast going to show you where not to go or what you need to sacrifice and walk away from. So I do feel like just get back to what would you really want to bring in? What is this sort of very kind energy you want to bring in? There's almost a choice around you at the moment in your main character energy in the day-to-day world, where you could go towards the power and not do the sacrifice, or you can go towards doing what you need, moving very quickly but not knowing the overall outcome. But either way, fortune is going to operate for you. I think that if you didn't sacrifice, you're going to go down on the wheel of fortune. If you do step away from some of this and make your own uncharted path, then it will move for you. So a lot of it has to do with you now being very honest with yourself about this, but also, given your soul's main character energy, looking at how it impacts others, apart from those who are maybe corrupt, because I think some of you are around people who are a bit corrupt. Okay, so what I'm just going to pull 3 cards for what particular element in your soul's main character energy is emerging now to help you deal with this choice, which I think is around you at the moment. 2 of Cups. The Sun reversed. The High Priestess. Wow, okay. So, there may be a very significant relationship for some of you that is emerging now that's going to bring this into sharp relief. And it could go either way, I'm going to be really honest. It could be that there's some mystery around it and it's a relationship you need to give up because it's not what it appears. What it is saying, though, is that your soul will know with the High Priestess there. It's bringing that mystery to the surface. Or it could be that you have to sacrifice something else for the sake of love. But either way, at the moment, it's saying that there is a path you're meant to be on, but until this decision is made, until you're pragmatic about what you need to leave behind, you can't move forward with it. But there's a relationship associated with this, as I say. So it could be an adversary. So if that's the case, it's how to you could maybe turn the adversary into an ally, potentially, with those. That might be the decision. Can you do this, or do you need to walk away? But there's something in that stopping you from making the decision. Or it could be a love relationship. Do you stick with it? Do you don't? Could be a third party when you're thinking about Helen of Troy. Anything like that. That's the key decision. It's how does that connect back? And an awareness of this, an awareness of how the mystery of relationship is the thing that is key to you following your soul's main character energy. That's coming to the surface. So relationship is very strong in it. So this will make sense in that the next part of this reading is actually looking at exactly that. So we're looking at different relationships around you. So for each of 4 types of relationships, I'm going to draw an archetype card and I'm going to draw a blue dragonfly card. So the archetype card is giving me some energy around this person. The blue dragonfly is to show me something about their perspective on your soul's main character energy. So we're going to start with a sidekick or a friend. In nearly every major story you see, there's an ally. You know, Sam with Frodo. That's the most one that comes to mind most quickly, but there nearly always is an ally of some sort. So you will have an ally, whether you found that person yet or whether you're going to find that person. So, and they're going to be important to your soul's journey. So probably an ally that's been with you in other lives as well too. So an archetypal energy to help identify that is numb. Okay. All right. Interesting. So let me have a look at, with your sidekick, their attitude to your soul's main character energy at the moment and what's going on. rhythm. Okay, all right. So what this is telling me is whatever's going on, because I think there's something going on about power or something corrupt or something like that, that is calling upon this energy of your soul to sacrifice what is necessary for the greater good. That's kind of the basic thing here. You've got a friend. I think you may be doing it. Yeah, in most classic stories, the sidekick is the one who ultimately helps in the end. But I think in this one, the sidekick is someone you're trying to help. I think that something that's happening to someone else where they've just kind of withdrawn and they want to get back into the flow of things, and they can see your energy would help them to do that. But they have withdrawn, even the fact that it's a bit of a zombie, that there's a character here for rhythm or whatever. There's something where I think you're wanting to heal somebody, and they will ultimately be your great ally. But there's a healing energy around it, which also the reclaiming energy of St. Anthony, very healing energy there. So I feel like you are in a position to help somebody, and in doing that, you're going to realize something about what isn't working. It's like, say you were in a workplace and somebody was being bullied and you hadn't realized it, but they're a friend of yours and they tell you about it. It shifts your whole perspective about the workplace you're in. It's that kind of energy. So I think you will start out bringing a friend or sidekick almost back to life from a difficult situation, and it's going to give you the information to know what to do. Okay, so let's see the adversary. I think it's going to be very interesting because I do think there's an adversary here. I think it's probably someone who's not honest or is a bit corrupt, but let's see how they come across to you, how you might identify them. Trickster, yeah, very much so. Very much so. Speaks with forked tongue. I mean, trickster energy can be very mercurial, very the magician, but I just feel like this is someone who maybe seemed like a friend or seemed like somebody good, but they're not. And you're going to see it. I think, there could be, as I say, a connection between the two. Let's see their attitude to your main character energy, because this person I don't think would go with the concept of sacrifice. They wouldn't even understand it. But let's just see what their attitude is towards you. My fear is face the nightmare, anxiety, creative block. Yeah, they're afraid of you. Once they actually start to see who you are and what you could do, they're afraid of you. They're going to try to manipulate. That's the energy around it. Okay. So if you heard me just whisper, what am I doing? It's just that I'd paused the video and then I wasn't sure if I unpaused it. So I'm not sure if that came across. So next, and sorry for the break, but I saw sort of something coming that I had to address at this house. So the next thing to look at is a guide for you. Now this could be a spiritual guide or it could be a person. So either energy. So a guide to help you around your main character energy. Priestess. Okay, all right. So this could be a spirit guide as a priestess from a past life. It could also be someone who does these sorts of things, some sort of like spirit guide. Could also be, if you follow a spiritual tradition, somebody who provides that kind of support and so forth. What is this priestess guide energy feeling about your soul's main character energy at the moment? Home, building an empire, family, money, luck is on the way. So this is basically, they know that you're finding your home. And they're very at home and very comfortable with what you're doing. And they know this is the pathway you should be on. This is why they're guiding you. They're very happy. There's a great deal of loyalty around that, I would say. And then a loved one or loved ones in general in your life. Leo, okay. So there could be sort of like a loved one, a friend beyond the sidekick or something like that has Leo strongly. Or it could be that there's a lot of drama around the people. And it's interesting with Helen of Troy because there's that sort of sense of like the kingly type, and then like the king of the jungle is the Leo, the lion. So you may have some quite powerful, strong, charismatic friends, or loved ones, or a partner or something like that. So whatever that means to you, whoever it means to you, one or more people, what is the sort of energy around your main character energy? I am healing, deep wound, overcome the pain, rebuild. Okay, I think you do all this for others. It's because of your innate kindness. There's very proud, very strong, very charismatic people that you care about, but I think they've been hurt too. In fact, I think your sidekick is probably one of a subset of ones here. You are a healer, Pile 1. And you will get that sort of like, the more you find that, the more that you're at home. But boy, you trigger some people because you see what's actually going on and because you have the strength to be kind and to sacrifice when it's necessary. As I said, I knew I was going to like your energy. I really like your energy. So let's just get you some stars to guide your soul's main character energy at the moment. The 10th house. A lot of this is going to play out in who you are in the world and in the powers of the world. There is something about the powers of the world with this. Definitely. First quarter moon, picking up speed. Yeah, things are picking up speed. In the daily energy, like the 3D, we have the 8 of Wands first. You know, like things are starting to really come into being. If you don't know what this is yet, it's coming. But your innate energy to do the right thing and to care for people and to heal and to sacrifice when it's necessary. I think you're going to do this really well. I don't think you're going to like come out of it really hurt in any way, but you're prepared to do it. You're prepared to make those shifts. Then we have sextile. Yeah, that's what I felt. It's going to be easier than you think. Things are going to kind of, manifest easier. I think you've done it before. I think you know what to do in these scenarios. And first house. Yeah, it's part of who you are. And you'll be known for it and seen for it in some way. So this is like the 10th and the first, like it's like who you are in the world in terms of power and who you are in the world in terms of personality. Everything's picking up speed around this soul mission, but it's going to be easier than you think, which is nice. So just to finish off, I'm just going to draw you a practical magic card for your personal magic or energies that can also help your soul's main character energy and main character story. Set boundaries, the Lady of Avalon. So, yeah, there's something about people around you in the environment that you're in. You do need to set some boundaries to go forward and do this. It's like sacrifice is wonderful, pile one, but only to the degree that it's necessary. Don't do more than you should. Don't give up more than you should. Don't be tricked by others to give up more than you should because there's a power struggle here. But you're meant to heal. So you're coming from a healing, sharing, caring energy. There's other energies around this that are coming from a dominant, greedy energy. So do set boundaries. The Lady of Avalon as well is the one who gives Excalibur. So Excalibur is great power. There's something about power here, and it's about the honor, using power honorably. So there's some energy around all of this. But I feel like in other lives, you've probably sacrificed major level around sort of culture and spirituality. I think in this life, it's more subtle, but you are in some sort of complex situation where boundaries or powers are being taken advantage of, and there are people you care about that you want to heal and help, and that's what you're going to do. So I hope that resonates for you, pile one. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile two, to your reading. So this is a kind of a schema to try and elucidate your soul's main character energy as opposed to your kind of main character energy on a day-to-day level. We will look at the latter in part of the tarot section of this, but this is to give us a kind of a helicopter view of your soul's main character energy. And this is interesting. You are very clever. There's a lot of like spiritual downloads, spiritual connection, metaphysical knowledge. The fact that we have Florence Scovel Shinn here as an example with the highly intuitive energy, but also the capacity to communicate it in a very succinct and accessible way. She was a writer about all things metaphysical, so she's a great communicator. There's great communication energy for you. Very much connected, and I'll get to why I've got these Sephiroth here, but very much connected to the divine and to the sort of like what is the wise, the balanced, and with Athena, the strategic. But just to explain this a bit, I just wanted to say first what I'm getting just straight off the bat here. I used the Astro Kabbalah deck, and I actually shuffled and dealt out till I got 6 of the Sephiroth from the Kabbalah. So these are the emanations of the divine, a bit like personality aspects of the divine that we then represent within ourselves, to try and get the 2 key ones. Your soul could either have come from Hokmah or Tippereth, for instance, or it has a very strong affinity to those emanations of the divine. So I wanted to get that. I also wanted to get with this, as I say, some sort of god, goddess sort of energy around how we would describe it, and then a human example of it. That's the sort of schema here. So for you, Athena, strategy, very smart. Like Hokmah and Athena together, that's a powerhouse because you've got a goddess energy that is strategic, uses her mind incredibly well. And then you have Hokmah, which is the divine father. It is wisdom, it's undifferentiated wisdom, before you get to sort of like the sort of empathy and so forth from the feminine. So it's the closest to Keter, it's the closest to pure wisdom. So there's a lot of intelligence in you and in your soul's main character energy. You're probably a very quick thinker, probably you channel, probably very divinely connected, and you turn this into strategy because your soul's main character energy is meant to be, as I said, with this change, Shiva is dancing into life and out of life. Very powerful if you were to be some form of spiritual advisor, particularly around, past life regression, all of those sort of things, with this sort of like blueprint for a main character energy. But beyond that, it's a change agent. But with Tiphereth, it's about beauty and about Christ consciousness in a broad sense. You don't have to be a Christian. It's about what will be beautiful, what is the great work, as it talks about here. So your soul's main character energy has a big mission to bring about change and bring more beauty and balance into the world, and whatever that means for you. It could be just amongst those that you're close to, it could be on the world stage. But there is a very strong and very powerful energy there, and you back it up with this extraordinary intellect and with this sort of divine channeling. So it's a very powerful energy. And so I would think that the way this will play out is in some sort of change role. Now, it doesn't have to be a career. It could be helping others change, in your personal or social aspects. It could be anything. But you could be someone who brings in both the end of certain things to bring in new things. I sort of think of something like Oppenheimer, who got the nuclear bomb. And I think he said something, I have become a destroyer of worlds, or something like that. Can't remember the exact quote. There's that sort of energy, but it's to bring in new things as well. And with Tiphereth is beauty. So in terms of there's a lot of power in this. Intellect and sheer creation and destruction energy. Like, it's really, really powerful and really focused for you through how you communicate and metaphysical understanding. Now, in terms of your connection to the Sephiroth, with Hokmah, as I say, this is the Sephiroth of the High Magician. So some of you may be involved in something like that, or may become involved in that in this life or in others. It's also about change, because Uranus is the planet that rules it. Its virtue is devotion, and there's a lot of devotion actually here. Devotion to wisdom, devotion to the great work in terms of Tiphereth. But the vice is chaos, and you could be chaos as well, because the wisdom is there, but it's not connected to the heart. Now, one of the things that is interesting here, because Athena as the divine feminine, again, is very much in the intellect, is one of the things that may be important for your soul's main character energy, is how you bring out the divine feminine. And I feel that Florence Scovel Shinn is the key to this. It's through creating. Using this incredible power to create, either writing something, speaking something, being an influencer, whatever it is. It may be the way to bring that in. So I think that's good, because there's such a lot of power here. And it would be easy if you sit just in your head and not in the kind of metaphysical to move to the more, I'll just destroy everything, to be a bit of an anarchist actually, but without the new world that you want to build. But you do have this over here, so this is why I'm pretty confident for you. But that's the sort of issue around Hokmah. Very strong on intuition. Intuition is the key word here also for Florence Scovel Shinn. Wheels within wheels, and this is again the feeling of like life and death. Wouldn't be surprised if some of you are highly scorpionic. You don't have to be, but I wouldn't be surprised. There's that kind of cycle of life and death. That's why I feel like you could be amazing past life, regression specialists, or like breaking karmic patterns, breaking generational karma, all that kind of thing. There's something there, particularly as with Tiphereth, which, as I say, is the Sephiroth of beauty and of joy. There's a sense here of like finding something beautiful, having sort of like destroyed what needed to be destroyed, then building something beautiful from a form of wisdom and metaphysics. And so the virtue here is devotion to the great work. You do have a cause. The vice can be false pride. Now, you are so smart, Partu. You are so clever and very powerful. So you have to be careful about pride. It's very Leonian sort of energy on that level. It can be wonderful and loyal and beautiful, but it can also be a bit proud. So keeping that in balance is important. beauty, harmony, virtue, and the cosmic law adaptation, like change and so forth, but connecting to the heart and soul. And it is good because the heart is there as well, and the heart is necessary for you. But because you're almost, your soul's blueprint is more the mind and the metaphysical and the detached almost, to bring about, a new world or something like that. But this is the thing that makes it beautiful, connected, part of the great work, balanced, and so forth. So very, very powerful soul's main character energy for you. So what we're going to do with the tarot is we're firstly going to look a little bit more about this, just get a little bit more information about your soul's main character. Then we're going to look at how that's manifesting in your day-to-day, on this world main character energy. Then we're going to have a look at what part of your soul's main character energy is starting to emerge in the day-to-day. So firstly, just a little bit more of this really fascinating soul's blueprint I'm seeing here. Queen of Pentacles, Two of Pentacles reversed, Nine of Pentacles, Judgment reversed, okay, Death reversed, oh my goodness, yeah, okay. So what this is saying at the moment is, you're so strong, as I say, and you can really stand on your own. This is the thing, you could get a little detached with Hokma there. Tippereth will help, but you could get a little detached. You're very loyal though. You're very loyal to what you're doing. You're going to see things through. You have the tenacity, like incredible tenacity. You don't blink when other people would run away. Like you're very, you know what to do. You've kind of worked out every option before you even get into it, and then you can go through conflict on a level that most people can't. And you will see something through. Absolutely. And part of that strength is you operate very much on your own, and materially you can build very much on your own. This is, of course, also, as I say, the one point that is something your soul's main character energy needs to balance off. Because what this is saying is that there's a choice you might be avoiding, which is maybe more to do with the heart, more to do with others and that kind of energy. So it'll be interesting when we get to the part of the reading when we're looking at other characters around you, because it feels at the moment that your strength and your loyalty, it's almost like you're not making choices about who to bring in. You're doing it all on your own. And that, again, can click you into pride. And it's stopping you. It's quite significant at the moment. It's almost as though a major change has to occur, and that it will bring in something good, and this is your calling. But you're delaying the decision in some way, maybe because you want to do it all yourself, but you kind of know you can't. So I think it'll be really interesting to see what we get with other people, because at the moment you have such a huge calling. The other thing I'm getting for some of you, it's maybe very specific, is that you do have a really big mission of change in this world, but the time isn't yet. So you can't make the decision because certain things haven't come into play yet. So I don't know, that just came to me for some of you, so that may make sense. Time will come, but it hasn't come yet. So let's ask how this is playing out at the moment, and we might get a little bit more about that in your day-to-day, world main character energy. Five of Pentacles, Six of Wands reversed. Oh, okay. I think I see some of this now. Six of Cups reversed. The Magician reversed. Ten of Cups reversed. Okay, all right. So the tilt to this side has happened for a reason, pile two. And so it may not be something that's core to you, maybe much more balanced in your soul more generally, but you've been left alone, or you felt lonely, or you felt like a stranger in a strange land, probably from within your family, or certainly in love relationships. But I do think there's a family thing here. I think you felt very different to your family, very different to your family. And so that's made you strong in some ways, but maybe almost too strong. It's like, because this energy is so strong and this energy is so clever, if there was a disappointment there, if you felt that you didn't belong, and that maybe you feel you haven't found your people yet, so it does have to be you. How can you do this? It'll be interesting to see the energy we get around sidekick and loved ones a little bit later in the reading, because I feel like you've been detached. I also feel like your power is not recognized right now. It's there, but it's not recognized. This might be because you haven't pressed the button to move forward with it, but I feel like you feel not recognized. So again, this may be, you're tilting towards this, I'll be strategic, I'll be wise, I don't need other people, I'm going to do it all myself. There could be that kind of energy, or as I say, it just could be that for some of you, it's definitely about to happen, or it's going to happen at some time, but it hasn't clicked in yet. But right now, this real strong power, it's not seen. So you're like someone who who is moving up the ranks and who is going to be really powerful in an organisation at one point, and huge change energy in there, but it's not quite yet. But part of what's driving you, and this is the thing, this is why you need to really connect in with Tippereth, and what you're really trying to achieve here is a sense of detachment or difference to other people. So that's something to just be aware of. So let's see what elements of this massive firepower is starting to arise in you now in your day-to-day life. What's happening right now? Queen of Swords. Oh, that's Athena all over. Justice. Knight of Pentacles. A lot of this, I think, for a lot of you, it's either about what you want to be loyal to, like you're getting closer and closer to understanding that, or it's around your work. It could be either. You could be getting a new job that brings a lot of this to the surface. You could be moving up the ladder. It could be it's just waiting on that kind of thing. You could come into an environment, or a legal situation that needs to go through change and it's a bit blocked. Your intellect is very much the thing. It's this side of it that's working at the moment, not so much Tippereth, but don't let Tippereth go. Like, remember Tippereth and the sense of joy. What is joyful in this for you, so that you don't feel like you're too on your own and so forth. That's the challenge for you at the moment, pile 2, with your main character energy. So let's have a look at people. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at 4 categories. A sidekick, because practically every storyline has a sidekick for the main character. I'm looking at the adversary or challenger. I'm looking at a guide for you, and I'm looking at loved ones, a loved one or loved ones, whatever resonates for you. And I'm going to get an archetype card to represent the energy of each of those, and then a blue dragonfly card to represent how they're feeling about your main character energy, particularly your soul's main character energy at the moment. So when we look at a sidekick, someone who would be a help to you, the energy is Shadow King. Oh my goodness. I do think some of you, this is big time stuff. I mean, I guess a king doesn't necessarily always have to be like a king or a CEO or something, but for some of you, it's this sort of thing. You are like you're like a Machiavelli maybe, or someone like that, like someone who, or a Nostradamus. I think that you're going to be part of bringing in a new regime, to be frank, and you have an ally, a sidekick. It's almost the person that you will elevate as a result of what you do. Really interesting. But as I say, that doesn't have to be like on the world stage, or it could be just within, something more social or something creative that you're doing. But that's a really interesting energy for the sidekick. I don't feel in this case, because it's a sidekick, like it's anything bad. I feel like it's someone who's a bit hidden. Like you're like Merlin teaching King Arthur, okay? King Arthur, before he became King Arthur, would have been, all his royal lineage was a bit hidden. So it's that kind of energy. So let's see and whether you've met this person yet or not, it's just someone I think you're going to help to elevate or support in some way. But they'll support you too. They'll ultimately help you bring about your great work. So let's just see what their attitude at the moment is to your main character energy. Final point, game over, conclusion, need to close, transmutation at the end. I think they feel that it's ready to move forward, to bring out Shiva the Destroyer rather than Shiva the Creator. Like, wow. Oh, you guys are interesting. You may not want to share this actually in comments, to be honest, depending on what it is, but I'd be fascinated to hear. There's definitely something here about the end of one regime and the start of another, whatever that means to you. And your sidekick will rise as a result of that, but will also support you and knows, will support that, yes, what you are seeing is right. So then that's pretty powerful. So who's the adversary or the challenger for your soul's main character energy? An achiever. Okay, someone very, 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 very competitive. And it's interesting because it could be someone who's achieving in the current regime, and this is going to just shift everything. So last thing they want is for somebody to come along and take away the foundations that they've been achieving with. So if you were trying to move from a really unjust, order, like politically, for instance, then somebody who is a bit corrupt and who's getting a lot out of it isn't going to want to have that happen. So there's someone who is doing well with the current situation who's going to be against the change. So let's see their attitude to it. I am adaptable, quiet above the chaos, equilibrium, flexibility. Okay, so it may say that they are initially an adversary and then they work out how to work with you. So that's good. Their instinct would be, I don't want change, this is doing really well, but they are an achiever. So it may be that they somebody who was originally a adversary becomes a friend. They do say strategically that's one of the best things you can get. If you have an adversary and then you can actually bring them over to your side, they're really loyal. So that's a good sign. Let's have a look at a guide for you. And this could be a spirit guide or it could be a person that is a guide for you over this energy. Dancer. Okay. This is someone I think is helping you to kind of dance through the energy. And like Tippereth feels like that. It feels musical. It feels elegant. It feels beautiful. Somebody who brings that sense of lightness back into it. And I do think you need it a bit, part two. I think, a powerhouse needs sort of something that sort of brings back to the simplicity of music and dance. So it could be a guide as a spirit guide. It could also be someone someone. They don't have to literally be a dancer, but someone who has that kind of elegance and rhythm. Let's see their attitude to your main character energy. Metamorphia, transformation, change skin, alchemical process, revolution of views. Okay, I feel this guide, one, it really helps you with the change energy. So I do think it's probably more likely a spirit guide than a person. But I think they also want you to change within this so that you do really get to the beauty, so that you don't lose that. I think their main thing is to make sure that it's an alchemical process for you, not just a kind of a real world politics sort of sense as well. And then if we look at loved one or loved ones, so if you have a significant other, it could be your significant other, or it could just be those that you care about and close to you. The sort of energy around your soul's main character energy is Virgo. Okay. Very, very grounded, very down to earth. You could have people around you that have Virgo strongly. Virgo is very health oriented, very meticulous, very analytical. The analytical side will really fit with you a lot. Let's see there, but very practical. Like it has to be practical and there has to be evidence. So let's see what their attitude is around it all. Facing Saturn, lesson from the universe, withdrawal, discipline, hard work. Yeah, they are disciplined and hardworking. I think they see this as very karmic. They see this as, the evidence is there. They see this as very karmic. They may worry for you a bit, I think, that it can be kind of severe, particularly with Hokma. Hokma is Uranus, but like there's also just that sense of the kind of time and the cycles of time. I also think it's a kind of ride or die thing. These people are ride or die with you because they see the importance, the seriousness of what you're trying to do. Okay, so you've got big shoes to fill here. You've got big stuff in your soul's main character energy. So let's get you some stars to guide you. Sextile. Well, that's good. It's suggesting this will go easier than you might think, which is good. I mean, you are very smart. You've probably got every single move worked out long in advance, and you know how to course correct if things go different to what you expect. Waxing gibbous moon, adjustments, clarify intention and direction. Yeah, you're able to course correct what I was just saying, so that's good. As is your adversary, interestingly enough. I think your adversary will eventually become an ally. And Cardinal, yes, you initiate. That's very much a Shiva energy. You'll decide when it's time to move forward on whatever this is. And second house. It's going to have an impact on the life that you want to create, on the money that you make, on all things to do with status, but it's very much connected also to ethics. It's getting those things in alignment. So that's powerful and good as well too. So just to finish off, I'm just going to get you a card from the Practical Magic deck for some magic support for your soul's main character energy, pile 2. Ground yourself, Lady of Earth. Okay, your loved ones are really going to help you because Virgo is very grounding. You do need to ground. You're very much in your head and in the big stuff, you know. And I'm someone who lives very much in my head, so I'm not criticizing. But yeah, grounding. Anything you can do to ground yourself, and I do think your loved ones will help you a lot with that. So because this is big stuff and it's very much in the mind and in the kind of intuition. So that is a powerful support for you to help you through this. So not that I think you'll be fine, but I just think it's a powerhouse. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 3, to your reading. So this is meant to be a bit of a kind of a helicopter view or a blueprint of your soul's main character energy. So across lifetimes, something very key and core to you, and which then plays out in various levels in different lifetimes. And so we will explore that as well too. This is very interesting. I thought this was going to be interesting because I thought when Prometheus came out that it would be a very interesting soul profile that we see coming with it, because Prometheus, as I said in the introduction, is the god who decided to bring fire to mankind so that they could start to move forward. And it's a bit like all sorts of like ancient alien stories, all that sort of stuff, where, you know, something that has more knowledge brings that to earth, you know, and then often suffers for it. So there's an altruism within your soul, a wish to share knowledge within your soul, even if it is at a cost to you, a sense of wanting to take things forward. And what really interests me is you have Hasod here, which is the connection between the upper realms, the tree of life, and Malkuth, which is earth. So there's a very strong sense, and I'll talk to you about why I've got these cards here in a minute, but there's a very strong sense here that you are bringing something to the earth, something a little bit advanced, and potentially at a cost to yourself, but at least you're doing it for all the right reasons. And I think part of it is both to heal others with Bridget here, and also maybe to heal yourself on some level, because I think you've had great power, great occult power with King Solomon. And the thing about great occult power is that sometimes it can burn us as much, like fire, which we bring, can burn us as much as it actually lights up and illuminates and warms the world. So King Solomon is famous for his wisdom. You know, there's a famous story about the two women who were both saying they were mothers of a baby, and he said, okay, I'll chop it in half and you can have half each. And then the real mother went, and that's fine, the other one can have it. That's how he knew. So it's just a famous story about, you know, understanding psychology. So he definitely had that, but he was also a high occult magician. So I think that many of you have that kind of energy in your soul, whether or not you're doing it in this life. And it's very possible in this life that instead of doing it for the purpose of power and so forth, which you could do, you are now doing it with the purpose both to heal your own soul if you feel that you maybe got a bit burnt by your own power, a bit like Icarus, got a little bit too high, close to the sun, or you may be trying to use that knowledge to heal others, and that's the gift that you're bringing in some way. So you could be a natural healer, but there's something that you know that other people don't know, and it's very spiritual, and it's something that you're meaning to bring into this sphere, and that's where you get victory. Now, these two cards, why do we have these two cards? We have these because I wanted to look at what Sephiroth in the Kabbalah, your soul's main character energy, really aligns with. Because the Sephiroth in the Kabbalah are almost like personality aspects of the divine that are then reflected in our personality. So I felt that what I did is that I shuffled a deck that had these in it, amongst many, many other things, and then I just dealt out till I got the top 6 because I wanted 2 for each of the readings, shuffled them again to see what ones would be for the reading. And I feel these are particular aspects of the divine personality and your own personality that are particularly powerful for your main character energy. So Nasak is about victory. It connects to Venus, so healing, love, all of those sorts of things. Its virtue is unselfishness, which is Prometheus all over, but its vice is lust for power, and you've got King Solomon. This is the thing. The victory for you is in getting that balance right and healing that potentially within yourself and in others. So the key word, victory, spirit of nature. The law is perception, understanding things. Creative imagination. It may well be that for some of you, the way that you actually express this and bring your knowledge to others is through something creative. And creativity is a very, very broad thing. There's a quote here from Marcus Aurelius that says, as you rise with the morning sun, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. So kind of simplicity, moving forward with simplicity is a healing thing, because this is complexity. King Solomon is complex. If you look into Solomonic magic and so forth, you'll see what I mean. So there's a victory in healing others and healing yourself. And if you think about it, Prometheus, his wonderful thing that he did for humanity meant that he was tied up to a rock so that a vulture could come and eat out his liver every day. So there is something here where your knowledge may have burnt you either in terms of power or in terms of giving too much, and getting a pushback from those who didn't like how that kind of upset the status quo. So I think your main character energy is around healing all of that, and maybe healing a similar thing in others. bringing it to earth, because Hassot, as I said, is the Sephiroth, which is the connection between the divine realms and earth. It is the realm of the Archangel Gabriel, so it's a realm of prophecy. So again, like seeing ahead, there's something in you that sees ahead. Virtue is independence, vice is idleness. I don't think that vice is too much of an issue here. I think it's more getting into balance, the healing. The quote says, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. So yeah, there is about choice, the victory of choice towards healing and towards altruism rather than power. So there's something like that for you. And it asks you to reflect. And magical subconscious, again, like you guys are very, very powerful. It's often the case with pole 3, actually. So that's interesting. So what we're going to do, you're my kind of high magicians who either give too much or we're involved in politics with your power, something like that. And your victory this time is sort of connecting things to cosmic law and healing. So let's get a little bit more information with tarot. So we're going to start firstly with just looking at a bit more information about this. Then we're going to look at how it's playing out in your main character energy in your day-to-day life at the moment, and then what elements of this are starting to arise in that you could focus on. So firstly, just a bit more about this very interesting profile you have here, pile 3. King of Swords, that's King Solomon. Page of Wands, Page of Pentacles, Page of Cups. Wow. The High Priestess. All right, okay. So a few things I'm getting instantly. One is the King of Swords, as I say, very much King Solomon. He very sort of smart, very, very sort of clear, sort of like set of sort of rituals and talismans and all that kind of thing. So there's an intellect behind this. You have a knowledge that is more advanced than most, which is connecting to Prometheus, giving fire as well. I feel that this is the profile of someone who is going to teach. Now, whether it's literally like being a teacher or whether it's a spiritual leader or whether it's being a mentor or a coach, the fact that we've got 3 pages here, some of you, this will play out through your family and through your children, and you will be passing on this knowledge and this wisdom to them in a way to make them strong and connect them and heal maybe even generational karma. So some of you, it's going to play out that way with 3 pages like that. For others, I think this is people who are not as far along the path as you that you are going to help. You're going to help them creatively, you're going to help them materially, and you're going to help them emotionally. So you are giving gifts to those who are younger, whether it's like literally younger in age or whether it's younger spiritually. There's a sense of that. You're bringing the mysteries out and you're showing the mysteries. So it's like whatever, this is a very Promethean energy, but it's more like a teacher. So it's almost as though maybe as I say, you've had great knowledge and power and you've realized that burns as much as it illuminates. You then look to how to pass on power. It's like a thing that reminds me of in my work. Some people would say knowledge is power. And there are certain sorts of people who keep all the facts and the knowledge to themselves because that keeps them ahead. And what I would find over time when I watched all this, in fact, that didn't last. That was a very sort of almost 4 of Pentacles holding it all together. It doesn't grow. It doesn't. So the power kind of stultifies eventually. I used to say sharing knowledge is power, because when you do that, you actually accelerate productivity. You make work cultures better and all that kind of thing. This is the energy. You kind of move from having the power and the knowledge to sharing the knowledge. I think a lot of you, your soul imprint, your main character energy is to bring others, bring others along, teach others, bring them through. Very strong. But as I say, for some of you, it may be very much within your own family. So let's see what's happening, therefore, kind of with your soul's main character energy as it's impacting your day-to-day main character energy at the moment. 3 of Cups. The Magician reverse. Yeah, you're keeping yourself under regulation, I've got to say. Knight of Pentacles. 8 of Pentacles. In fact, you may even balk at this. You might go, oh, I'm not into that. I think you were. The Devil. Yeah, I think you were. So you are, I think, around, you're either in like large organizations or around sort of things where power and limitations and so forth exist. What's going to drive you to bring your knowledge through is to liberate others. So maybe some of these people you're trying to teach is to liberate them in some way. So that's definitely there. But I also think, I'm not saying that you got into dark magic. Some of you might have, but I'm not saying you necessarily did. But I think that you are keeping that under control at the moment for some reason. And I think it's maybe to do the healing, or maybe because you know that's not the role now. The role at this point is to liberate through teaching others. You're very dedicated to it. And use skills, you're off the charts on the knowledge. If you haven't like looked into, and it doesn't have to be high magic, okay? I'm just thinking of that around King Solomon, but it could be anything. It could be Reiki, it could be law of attraction, it could be some form of mysticism, or it may not even be directly spiritual. It could be scientific, it could be technological, it could be anything. There's just something where you're ahead of the pack, and you've always kind of been a bit ahead of the pack, and now you're sort of like your skills, passing those skills on to liberate others, it liberates you at the same time, and there's a lot of celebration to be had from it. So don't shy away from it. Don't hide that light. You know, it's meant to be shared. So let's see what is emerging, particularly from this soul blueprint, this soul main character energy, into your day-to-day life now. Eight of Cups reversed. Two of Wands, Eight of Wands. Okay. Whatever this energy is, because it feels like Icarus or something like that. It feels like you got so high, but like it didn't quite balance. And I think you're healing yourself as well. This heals you, but it does heal others. You're getting ready to let go of the constraints that you put on yourself, because I think you're starting to see the purpose. You're starting to see a choice that you can make, and you'll move very, very fast, particularly creatively, particularly if you want to do this creatively in some way. Very, very fast. For some of you, you might also like move home, or you might travel a lot with this to sort of spread the message. You know, that's possible with the Eight of Wands as well too. But you're about to make the choice. You're about to leave behind an emotional pattern that was hard to leave behind and unblock your power, which is really exciting. So let's have a look at other people that are around your main character energy, because in any story, you know, there's the main character and then there's other characters. So there's four versions of this that we're looking at. One is a sidekick, because every good hero quest has a sidekick. Then there's an adversary or a challenger in some way. Then we're going to have a look at a guide, and then we're going to have a look at loved ones or a loved one, depending upon what resonates for you. So firstly, a sidekick. So I'm starting with an archetype card to give you some identification energy of that, and then we're going to use a card to have from a different deck to have a look at what their feeling is around your main character energy, particularly this big soul's main character energy at the moment. So your psychic energy, Earth. Okay. Yeah, your Earth. You're very much connected to Earth. Those are the Earth. Like this may be, some of you may be star seeds as well, actually, with that coming up. That might be part of this, because I was talking about alien races and all that kind of thing. Some of you may be star seeds, and like your sidekick and your thing here is in Earth, and that's part of the point. So someone who is very earthed, someone who could be an Earth sign, someone who wants to ground this. I feel like there's actually something like of all, if this was like three children or three people that you were doing, the one that's Earth is the one that you're most dedicated to by the looks of things. But it doesn't mean that you can't help the others. And that could be also picking up the sidekick, the one who goes on the journey with you. So let's see their attitude to this. Veiled truth, not said, hidden secrets, inner research, levels of reality. I think they know that they're dealing with someone who has a lot of deep esoteric knowledge on one level or another. I think they may feel sometimes they don't even fully understand what you're doing, but they probably have their own truths as well. So it's worth sort of like talking with them about that. Sometimes what can happen when you have a mission and great intellect or great knowledge or great wisdom to pass on is you might neglect seeing the what else is there that's a little bit more hidden, that's a bit more grounded. There's a mutual exchange here, because this is going to heal you as well. So let's have a look at the energy around an adversary or a challenger. Old soul, yeah. You know, I kind of like, there's the story of Enlil and Enki, the Sumerian, and I can't remember, to be honest. I'm not that familiar with the Sumerian legends. One of them was a Promethean character, and the other was like the brother and like didn't like what was given. So this is old soul energy, and you have a potential adversary or challenger who's also an old soul. Let's see their attitude to what you're trying to do. I'm at peace, feeling at home, finding serenity, being with myself. There might be someone who challenges you by withdrawing. Or it might be that on a higher level with both of you, you kind of know this has to play out. So even if they seem to be adversary, it may be almost a contract that was done. Like, I'll be your challenge, I'll be the thing that pushes you, I'll do all that. But ultimately, we both know this is for the good. So that's good. It's kind of like, it's not, given the Promethean thing, I would worry about, like kind of retribution, but I don't think that's what's going on here. I think that there's another old soul that is almost pushing against what you're doing to bring it out. They're quite at peace with all of it, so that's nice. So let's have a look at a guide energy around you. This could be a spirit guide, or it could be a person that operates as a guide for you. King. Okay. So someone with power in one way or another, very divine masculine sort of energy as well. Very protective though. So it could be sort of someone like, it could literally be King Solomon for some of you actually as a guide. But it's a protective energy. And then their attitude to what you are, your main character energy at the moment. I am reborn, recovery, rejuvenation, return from the past, resurrection. Wow. Okay, so King Solomon might be coming back and they may be a guide for you. So you're a guide to many. For some of you, your own guidance is yourself. And so this energy, whether it's literally, but like it's yourself. You are your own guide, and this is you being reborn. It's very powerful energy, pile 3. So let's have a look at loved ones. It could be your significant other, or it could be your family, friends that you care about. You work out what energy works here for you. We have Sage. Oh my goodness, you people are so interesting. Like, wow, that feels like Merlin-esque. Wow. I think you come from a lineage of this sort of ability. Let's see what the Sage feels about what your main character energy is doing at the moment. Good romance. Okay, it's probably going to be a significant other who's connected to all of this. Or they just really like it and they want to see you get with the right person so that you have the support you need and the full healing of the heart. But I think you're an interesting person. You're going to attract a lot of other interesting people around you in terms of esoteric power. Let's give you some stars to guide your way. Trine. This has come up for all of them. It's going to be easy. I'm not trying necessarily, but aspects that are of ease. There's going to be an ease. This also suggests to me, actually, it's really interesting. There's you, there's a king, and then there's the sage. Or if the king is really you, it's the old soul, the sage, and you. There's a threesome associated with this, and I'm not saying like a threesome like in love. I'm saying that there's a trine of energy here as well. Neptune, very, very psychic, very, very spiritual, very much in the numinous. The second house is going to affect the type of life that you have, the type of status, the sort of money, possessions, but also how that aligns with your ethics. So it's got a material thing. This is also why there's the connection to Earth with the sidekick. And sextile. Oh, and this one did come up for us. It's come up for every single one. So that's really interesting. Like, I think what it's showing is that when people are aligning with their soul's main character energy, things come up easier. So there's an ease around this. There's you and 2 other people, I think, or 3 other people that are important to you that are going to really help with this. And it's kind of bringing the numinous into the material. That's what this is about. So just to finish off, I was going to get you a card from the Practical Magic deck for magic energy or guidance that will help your soul's main character. Embody forgiveness, crown of stars and thorns. Okay. There's a lot about power here. I do think that you have suffered, just like Prometheus. There may even be, and this might be part of the soul contract with the old soul, it might have been the person who actually, in another life, challenged you and made you sacrifice for what you did. But you need to forgive what has happened before and now and shed your light and your energy and your knowledge on others. Crown of stars and thorns. What a beautiful concept. The stars are the direction you go in. The thorns are the things that we all have to deal with to get there. beautiful. And again, like wisdom, the wisdom energy that you bring in with the owl. You might have an owl as a strong spirit guide, actually. So I hope that resonates for you, Pile 3. It's a bit of a powerhouse, as I say. So very, very interesting around esoteric or some other really specialised knowledge that I think that you're here to share. And as I say, you may have starseed sort of connections as well, I think. But anyway, I hope that it resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear about it. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.